This is a cell. Your body has 40 trillion cells in it. That is a really big number. Spelled out all the way, it looks like this. Let's see, that's 40 million, 40 billion, and 40 trillion cells. That's how many are in your body. You guys already know some parts of the cell. For example, this one where cellular respiration happens is of course called the mitochondria. We also have this wall around the cell that keeps everything in. That is called the cell membrane. We're actually going to focus here today, though, on this inner part of the cell. It's really the center of the cell, and people sometimes call it the command center. This is called the nucleus. And inside the nucleus, we have DNA. So DNA is your genetic instructions. DNA is found in every single organism ever. And it is the genetic instructions that tell your body how to build. So it tells your body how to build your legs, your heart, your lungs. Everything that your body has was instructed how to build that by DNA. We're going to get way more into like how that process works, but right now you just need to know this DNA inside of your nucleus is your genetic instructions. El DNA son instrucciones genéticas que se encuentran en el núcleo. So let's zoom in here on the cell. We see the cell, inside the cell, the nucleus. That's what we were just saying. And then inside of the nucleus, we have these structures called chromosomes. Now, all organisms have a different amount of DNA that they need, so they have different numbers of chromosomes. Humans have 46 chromosomes that come in 23 matching pairs. So, for example, we have one pair of chromosomes here. These are matching, like homologous, it's called, chromosomes. So there are two chromosomes, but they're in a pair together. So sometimes you hear 23 pairs, and sometimes you hear 46 chromosomes, but it means the same thing. So what is a chromosome? It is tightly coiled DNA. It's basically a storage system for all your DNA. Cromosomes son DNA fuertemente enrollado. Los cromosomes son la forma en que se almacena el DNA. So we can think of it kind of like if we had just this long string of DNA and it wasn't organized into chromosomes, it would be like a mess of DNA, unorganized. But when we wrap it up tightly and put it into the right chromosomes, it's like having a neat, organized set of books rather than like just a random stack of paper. So on this picture, you guys can see DNA has this unique structure called a double helix. This double helix structure was discovered by a scientist named Rosalind Franklin. She discovered this structure of DNA in 1952. And then these other scientists, Watson and Crick, used her picture of DNA in 1953 to build this model of DNA. So even though Rosalind Franklin discovered the structure of DNA, Watson and Crick received the credit for a long time. They even received the Nobel Prize for this discovery in 1962, and it wasn't until the 70s, 80s, 90s when Rosalind Franklin started receiving the credit that she deserved for this discovery. So just to recap here, we have inside the cell, the nucleus. Inside the nucleus, 46 chromosomes for humans. And remembering that chromosomes are the storage system for DNA. So inside of chromosomes, we have a lot of DNA in this double helix structure that gives it this shape, like two staircases. So within the double helix of DNA, on each side, on each strand of DNA, we have these base pairs. So if on one side of a strand we have an A base, the other side would have a matching T base. There's also a C base that goes with G. So all throughout all DNA, on each side, there will be one base, and on the other side, it's matching base that fits with it. We can remember which bases go together by remembering apples go in the tree for A goes with T, and cars go in the garage for C goes with G. So this image just reminds us of all the structures that are involved in storing this genetic information. It's really important because, as we said, DNA is the instructions for how to build everything in an organism, from tiny structures like your cells all the way up to large organs like the heart, the skin, your legs, your muscles. Everything in an organism is determined by these genetic instructions that are coded in the DNA. Again, we're going to get a lot more into like how does the DNA tell your body how to build things, but right now we're just learning the structures that are involved here. So just some key points again. DNA is found in all organisms. DNA is the genetic instructions for building organisms. DNA is a double helix structure like this, like two staircases, and it's stored in the nucleus in chromosomes, and DNA is organized into chromosomes like for storage, and remembering that that humans have 46 chromosomes. We discussed a lot of new vocabulary in this video, so I definitely recommend making some flashcards and getting yourself really familiar with these vocabulary words. You will need to be ready to discuss DNA using this vocabulary during class and on assessments. So start getting yourself ready by making flashcards, taking notes throughout this video, and just really start practicing using these words.